Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked. Devin and I are doing a discussion over Primal: The Awakening.
Primal Rage.
You might be thinking, but Seth, this is a campaign game. Don't you usually do a series?
God damn it, Seth!
I know, I'm letting everyone down. No, I think at some point we will do a campaign over this. There's just so much replayability for it, and it's so easy to do one. But with Devin, we got 8 AM Trespass Odyssey to do, so it's like, we just can't do more campaigns. It's just
I have a job and a family.
Right?
Please, just
let me go. Like, I promise I'll come back.
You what?
So, yeah. So, instead, we are going to do a discussion over it. Now, caveat here, we have not finished a campaign, but we have played enough to be able to say that this is a fantastic boss battler.
It is a fantastic boss battler.
It's so good. And I hate being like that guy that's like, this is the best boss battler. Because I don't think that. But I think this is really, really good. And a prime example. I know, right? Of kind of what to do right, I think, for a boss battler. So, Devin, what are your thoughts? What do you think of Primal: The Awakening?
I think, well, I have to say they definitely cut the chaff, I guess. They really skinny it up to the core. You know, you are in here, you're fighting a monster. That's all of your attention is in the battle.
Yep.
You know, no extra movement, no additional phases. It's, you know, you come into the boss, limited setup.
Yeah.
You know, limited, like...
This looks like a table hog, but honestly, like, if you took, like, a 3D printed token holder like Oathsworn has,
yeah,
it's so minimalistic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And just, like, you compare it to its brethren,
yeah, it's
significantly smaller.
Yeah.
But with still, like, a huge monster variety. Yeah.
Yeah, the core game has, I think it's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 12, 13. 13 bosses in the core game. And then I think there's another 9 or 10 with all the expansions. You have around 22 something.
Damn. That's a lot of monsters from the get-go.
Yeah. Each with their own different aggression level, which means different behavior cards. And I mean, honestly, like the campaign, I mean, it has narration, and it's as good as Monster Hunter storytelling. Like, it's serviceable.
You know, something in nature is happening.
Yeah.
You need to go research these monsters to death.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, right.
And make some badass swords out of it, too.
That is literally it. Like, the designers, those guys, if you're going to try and pronounce their names, like, 100% were not shy about being like, we are Monster Hunter fans.
Yes.
But it's crazy because I feel like this game is more Monster Hunter than the Monster Hunter game.
Yeah.
And it's because Monster Hunter, the board game, is done by Steamforged, who is well known to take IPs and basically shit all over them. Like with Dark Souls and Horizon Zero Dawn, it's just like, oh, okay, so you guys are just bad at designing games. Yeah, I mean, this one is the one that I gravitated towards whenever I saw that, because I'm not like the biggest Monster Hunter fan, but I know you used to be. So I mean, to me it feels like it captures like the
I mean, just like the little art touches, the little what would you call them, insignias of the monsters.
Oh yeah,
you know, with that
Aztec-y
look. Yeah, icons. That's a good term. Let's see. Who else? I mean, just the style. Yeah. You know, the way the characters wield these enormous weapons. It's very Monster Hunter.
Yes, just grotesque, over the top, like massive. Like every weapon is bigger than the person wielding it, and you just feel like a badass.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in like these campaign games, this one, Tainted Grail has it, and I'm totally blanking on another one. But whenever you're playing combat cards and you have to basically create a sequence, I love that.
Yeah, because so they remove the random a bit to it, short of what you draw.
Yep. I mean, yeah, you have your own deck that you deck construct as you like unlock things, level up. And your deck is like 100% tied to your weapon. So the weapon that you choose to craft that you won. Now, granted, you are locked into your build. So if you pick the sword and shield guy, you can't all of a sudden be like, I want to use a bow.
Yeah, each of the weapons are tied to a character.
Yeah, but you have tons of different ways of getting like. I mean, every monster you fight unlocks basically a settlement location that you can go and craft.
Yeah, they're all more of an element style versus like the specific monster style. So we just fought like a metal elemental monster. We unlocked the metal forge. We fought a thunder monster. Got a thunder forge.
Yep. And all those are tied to levels as well. So it's like, okay, I got the level 1 metal sword and shield. But that has a unique ability. That has a unique deck construction requirement. And I just find that so simplistic yet equally fascinating.
Yeah, so do we want to talk about the crafting a little bit?
Well, what I was going to say real quick was whenever you are playing your cards, you actually are rewarded for putting them in a very specific way.
Yes.
Like to get a bunch of combos. And one that is just very pleasing to my brain, because it's like, okay, if I do this, that's going to allow me to do this. And then, oh, hey, can you assist me? Oh, that's going to boom. That gives me the stamina I need to continue to do this whole string. And now I emptied my hand because I have the thunder armor. That deals extra damage. But at the same time, it also lets you look at your sequence and make a thematic tie-in to what you did. For a game that is as minimalistic as this is, there's no boss moving around. There's no like, okay, orthogonal or adjacent movement. It's like, okay, you can move to one of 4 grids or sections. That's it. It's surprisingly thematic.
Yeah, it leaves a little more theater of the mind that way, I guess.
Pretty much.
But also a lot of the nonsense, like, you know, like some of the boards are very large, you know, with ATO and KDM.
Yeah.
You know, or even Tussle Tussle. They all have large boards, which you can get kind of muddied up in the terrain and other bullshit and kind of distracted from the boss in general. But this is like, oh no, you're focused on the boss and he's focused on you. This is what this is all about.
Yeah. So whenever it comes to the bosses, it's extremely fascinating because in Oathsworn, KDM, ATO, Townsfolk Tussle, all of them have turns. Like the bosses all will do something, and all of them will interrupt you in one way or another, whether it's through a reflex or a trap card or a broken location. This game is entirely reactionary with every single boss. And that is so unique and works so well. Like, I absolutely love that you can look over and be like, here's what's going to trigger. Like, same with Oathsworn. You can look at, you know exactly what the card it's going to do, but you just, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
This is pretty much the exact same way. You look at the behavior of the creature, and it's like, okay, it has a red card, it has a movement, and it has an end of round. Okay, well, if I want to attack, I know for a fact that it's going to do something.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the actual, like, boss fights? Like, do you feel that they are different enough?
We fought 3.
Yep.
As of this recording. So far, I mean, they definitely have used the resources that the system like provides. Like, you know, they all use the base, you know, the struggle, which is kind of their little meter,
it's
their little generator for their special abilities.
It's essentially their rage. That's like how they're... I don't know why they didn't call it rage. Like, feels like struggle is this kind of... Oh, we want to be different. You know, we don't want to call it rage.
So, and they all kind of use that to fuel their unique effects. So we fought the fire wyvern. I forget his name.
Yeah. I mean,
they're Rathalos, essentially.
Insert, you know, weird name that no one's remembering.
Which, you know, he'd light fires.
Yep. What was his name?
What else?
Let's
see here. Oh, you could chop off his tail.
Yep. I can't find it. But yeah, Volthrax or something like that. Yeah, that was kind of his name. We fought him. We fought the lightning beetle.
Yeah. And you could bust his horn.
Yeah, he with his horn, it was almost like a conduit to blind him.
I kind of... I like it, but I don't like it. In the that it's all reactionary in a way.
Okay.
Because I don't really feel like the monster gets a big how do you do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very balanced.
Yeah.
Like, we're taking hits, they're taking hits at a relatively similar rate. But the monster never gets the big, you're ass fucked card, oh shit, and that's going to be a bad time, or, to kind of really envision what he's doing. But mostly it's trying to encapsulate that this is a long, hard fight.
Yeah.
You're hitting him frequently, he's hitting you frequently, and you're gradually taking that damage. So it's like, it's got good and it's got bad.
Yeah.
It's very good game design standpoint, but like playing, it's I'm still enjoying it. Don't get me wrong.
It depends on play style, because for games where it is like, that's why Oathsworn is so great, because it's interesting that you don't like the reactionary, because Oathsworn has 100% predictability with what it's doing. It's pretty much like that here, because I absolutely hate the wow, had no way to anticipate that, I guess we lost, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like, so I like that it has the triggers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's different. It's just that, okay, he has 3 different trigger effects, and they're not always attacks. Sometimes they're buffs or different effects that he's used that's unique to the monster. Which, I enjoy that as well. But it's like, none of them are big smacky. There's not, he doesn't have like a proper turn. So it's weird. It's just weird.
It is different. Yeah, no, okay.
And
I see what
the
you're
majority of his damage is coming from his attrition deck.
Yeah, which is, the kind of like ping dot damage the entire time, which is kind of like, it's supposed to thematically represent that it's nipping you as the fight is going on. If you, it's kind of meant to be like, hey, you want to be overly aggressive, you're gonna take damage. The attrition deck, if you play enough green or yellow cards, it's going to be a non-issue.
Right.
You're dodging and moving around the battlefield. I do enjoy it. It feels like as if you were... Because, playing Monster Hunter, which is in the very limited time I did play Monster Hunter World, I don't really recall any of the fights having big moments. Like, they didn't, fly and summon, a world-ending lightning bolt or something like that. It was it was always just biting or whipping or doing, just maneuvers the entire time, and that's how I feel the behaviors do here. And one, it's just so streamlined. It's just
if there's something if there's a big key word to this game, it's streamlined.
It really
is. Which I think boss battlers do need a little bit.
Yes.
Some need reeled in.
Yep.
And it's quite a bit more accessible, I'm going to say, than, KDM, ATO, Oathsworn.
Yeah.
All of them very huge, heavy. This is kind of refreshing. That it's like, I still I get the scope of the monsters. And, and the replayability.
Yep.
I can get a campaign. But it's just so much simpler. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to sit here for 30 minutes crafting because they've simplified crafting in a way that is very nice, very liquid.
Yes, pretty much anytime you defeat a monster, it's like, here are your resources, craft whatever you want within the monster you just fought. It's not like this whole ordeal where a settlement phase or a voyage phase is as long, if not longer, than the actual fight itself.
Right.
And you don't even have to play the campaign. The campaign is like, hey, here's story, but really, you have your quest board right now. We have 5 options to just, and you just pick one.
Yeah.
You just look at it and be like, which one do we want to fight? And we have 5 options because I have the expansions thrown in, but it's like, if we didn't have the expansions, I think we'd have 3 options. But it's like, just pick one of those 3. If you don't want to deal with the campaign, then you just do the expedition. You just pick a fight, and you just fight it.
Okay. So, can you, string expeditions?
Can you what?
Say, could you, create a custom campaign?
I guess you could. Well, I don't know.
Are there the mechanics involved? So, if, we could be building... we don't have the in-between. We can just pick a monster and keep hunting them as they gradually get stronger.
I don't think so. They are standalone game experiences.
Okay.
So you pick one, and it tells you how to set it up and then what you want to fight.
Okay.
If we want to fight Ozu, which was the lightning beetle, it tells you, hey, it's special rules. Pick one of these 2 expeditions, which are kind of just your board setup.
Okay.
And then it tells you, hey, what level do you want to fight? Fight at that. Do you want to fight at level 3? Okay, here's what you do to equip yourself.
Okay.
To fight it.
That's not too bad.
Which is. The fact that they added that is so nice because there are so many campaign games out that it's like, I mean, we were just talking about we're doing a review because we don't have the time to do another campaign game on top of another boss battler, which is a huge that's the hot button game now. Our boss battlers,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it is interesting. Yeah, if you're wanting big swingy like turns from yourself or from the boss, yeah, the behavior deck is not going to give you that. They're all even level playing field around what the creature does. But I guess at the same time...
But he's also, like, popping off several at a time.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, just like we're doing like, a little bit as we work. Again, attrition.
Yeah.
Time.
And I guess also, thematically, I would agree with you wholeheartedly if these were thematically one monster. But there's tons of Hurums. There's tons of those beetle things. So it's like they're just living in the world. So it'd be weird if they all had like these special, like, oh man, that's a unique creature. Like, I'm assuming the Awakening or like the big final boss, this guy.
Yeah.
I bet you he does a bunch of wacky, like unique separate deck shit. Because there's only one of him.
Right.
Versus, oh, there's hundreds of these little ferret metal things. Kind of like, yeah, when you fight the same Tyrannosaurus and Monster Hunter over and over just to chip at it to get resources. Yeah, so we can go into the crafting, which again is part of the campaign. All you do, the campaign is literally read a chapter story, pick your quest, craft, fight. That's it. So what do you think of the crafting?
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, they made the resources very liquid. So, you know, you have essentially they're bracketed down. You've got your elements and then you've got your materials.
Yep.
And so if you want to build something in the metal forge, I have to spend a metal first to even craft an item, and then I spend the materials therein. But what's really cool is that they made it all very interchangeable. So, like, I've unlocked the Metal Forge ages ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're still in the level 1s, and we fight some other monster, but I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, I still want to make, you know, the Orion Blade. Its effects are unique, and maybe I want to start going that direction. So it lets you trade elements for any material, or any 2 materials for any 1 material, which is really cool. To... Essentially, like, I don't have to go back and hunt this guy that I just hunted. I already know his kit.
Yeah.
I don't really want to fight him again.
Right.
So that helps remove the grind, which is very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The fact that you can also just take old weapons and just turn them in.
Yes,
You can just be like, I don't need this anymore. Like, basically, melt it down to get what you need.
Yeah, like my base armor, I could just turn that in, and it's just a free whatever material I want it to be.
Yep. And... it's nice because because we're doing Kingdom Death Monster because we got like the Wave 3 stuff, and it's like, well, I kind of got my build, so what do we fight? Like, we're kind of at a point where like my 2 characters are done, so it's like, well, what do we fight? I want to fight something new, but that's not till 4 games from now, so I guess we'll just fight this. None of that is in here, like none of the saving up resources. Because when you fight higher level things, the campaign is just going to kind of give that to you. And they're all viable. Like, they're all, like, really cool, viable items. And I also like the fact, a little bit like Oathsworn, where you don't have, like, 2 hand things. You don't have a chest. You don't have a leg. You don't have boots. You don't have a helmet. You don't have a butt plug. You don't have all this shit that you're just, like, constantly forgetting that you have. It's, okay, you have a helmet, armor, item. And then 3 potions.
And then 3 juices.
And that's it. Like, that's your kit. And it is more than enough to create a build within the character that you chose to play. And I think the characters play radically different from one another. Like, the hammer to the sword and shield, to the bow, to the greatsword, and I think the expansion brings dual blades and...
bowgun.
Bowgun. Which I haven't looked at any of those, but... you have different routes. It's not like the sword and shield character isn't just like, oh, I'll just absorb all the damage. It's like, no, you can go completely, capoeira dancing with a fucking shield. Yeah. And you also will slowly unlock a skill tree, and the skill tree is very minimalistic.
Another reference to the Monster Hunter games. Characters kind of play like you fight in the game.
Yep.
It's like, I'm a hammer, I whack him in the noggin, and I stun the shit out of him.
You stun him. I can taunt to pull him towards me. But
rapid attacks for relatively cheap.
Yes.
And you also have stun capabilities, or struggle regulation as well.
A lot of reducing struggle. But the cool thing is like based off the weapon and the gear you equip, you can go a certain path with your deck. Now, one thing I'm struggling right now is the deck construction element. Like, I'm not quite getting a build. Like, yeah, we've added like 2 cards to our decks, so I'm not sitting here like, oh man, like meticulously like Arkham Horror the card game where we like will look at our deck and be like, how do we need to build this?
Yeah, definitely not to that extreme.
Yeah, it's not getting there yet, but at least it is there. The one thing about the game that I don't really care or don't think it's actually that big of a deal right now is the weakness.
The weakness? Yeah. So it's like if you have 2 of a particular element that the monster's weak to, for every 2 counts of a weakness element, you can add or remove 1 card from your deck.
Yeah.
So if
I'm restrictions.
So like you have a total of 4 elemental cards that you could be holding.
Yeah.
And so at most you're adding 2 or subtracting 2 of your. So the thickest deck we had was 24 cards in our thickest deck with the base equipment, and they've kind of slimmed down a little bit with the more advanced equipment that we've constructed.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I get the weakness element if you, like for example, your hammer has low yellow. You can only have 4 yellow.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 weaknesses, you can put in more yellow.
Yeah. So
to give yourself a little.
Or I just remove all of my yellow because fuck defense, that's for pussies.
Right? Yeah, to thin out your deck so you get through to your attack cards more. It's fine. It's there. It's like we fought against Haram and I was able to I added 2 cards to my deck. I wasn't like, oh man, I'm so glad I have these 2 cards now. I didn't really notice it. I really think they could have went a route of you deal more damage. That innately just makes more sense. If, hey, this thing is weak to lightning, I should do more damage to it. But I guess there's not a real way because they didn't do elemental damage. Like it's not like my volcano sword and shield does fire damage. Right. So I don't know. It's not. It's just kind of inconsequential. There's no negatives. It's not like, oh hey, it's immune to this. So
yeah, because they made it to where everything's very accessible.
Yeah.
So it's like I can see where I could have a copy of every single weapon of every single element we fight. That weapon. So I'm just like I can gear up for the next fight, which is quite possible. It's like they don't really give you anything to store your materials for, as of yet.
Right. What's also really interesting is with the campaign specifically, it is only 11 fights. Like with how many chapters there are in the actual campaign book, and with all the expansions and stuff, I was expecting it to be like a 30-something campaign, but it's like, nope, you only do 11 chapters.
But you can. So is it change the chapter direction depending on what we hunt? No.
So the story itself will be the same, but in terms of the extra lore, like the stuff I'm reading after we kill a monster, that would be different. Getting more into the world.
Yeah, because I thought that was interesting how it linked the bug creature. I forget his name.
Ozu.
Ozu linked to they talked about how the Ozu and then the Haram, how they're dust. Yeah, and then they are column. And I was like, that's interesting because we had fucking 4 monsters to pick from, not after the Ozu, not just the Haram.
Yeah, that gave us achievements. So I guess it does kind of have a choose your own, but the overarching narrative will be the same.
Gotcha.
The major difference is you have aggression level 1, 2, and 3. So for example, if we never went and fought the bug, right out the gate, we waited till chapter 5 to do it, it would have been aggression level 2 instead. So that's kind of your major differences, is when you choose to fight certain creatures, when you get certain achievements, when you want to get unlocked rewards. So there's enough replayability in the campaign because it is so limited. 11 games, which is probably 10 games and the final boss. I very much enjoy. 10 games is a lot more manageable. Hell, looking back on Oathsworn, I was thinking 20 was manageable, but then it was like story and the fight. So it was like 2-hour story, 2-hour fight.
Yeah.
And it's every time we would start at like 10 a.m. and be
got like maybe 2 games.
2 full chapters. And I was like, why do I feel like we should be getting 3? But we never did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the game box is huge, and it's mainly this. In terms of actual components, it's very, very succinct. The box size is due to the vacuum seal for the actual minis, and the minis are amazing. They would look gorgeous painted. Yeah, they would look super sexy. I love that the creatures have full art on the back of their sheet. I also really like how the wounds work. Kind of like a little bit similar to how Oathsworn did, where it was kind of like, hey, it has a defense, it's basically a multiplier. If it has a defense of 10, you have to deal 20 damage to do 2 wounds to a section.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is here.
And the fact they don't reset, it's just kind of like a cumulative
Yep.
hit points without saying that he has 400 hit points. You
Pretty
just say he has like deal 10 wounds.
Yes.
To deal a wound, you deal 40 damage.
10 damage to deal 1 wound, but they also have different stances, which
God, imagine, just that little touch. Just if they just said he has 140 hit points.
Yes.
Get to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, yeah.
Well, it also allows them to section it out with the different stances.
Right.
Because what's really cool about this is they have peril cards, which are kind of like a special ability that everything has, and an objective for you to do that are all tied to the stances. So Huron, this little metal ferret thing, it's like it didn't have an objective until stage 2, where we started actually going after it's shielded up, and we're like, oh, it's weak on its rear, and so you're incentivized to go after that. And then in stage 3, it's like it like adapted, and then like it's like, oh nope, now it's just fully shielded up. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because this game also, its behavior cards, it's like 9 cards. Because it's like level 1, use these 3, or use these 9. Level 2, use these 9. And that allows you to, kind of like what all boss battlers should, especially like this, allows you to learn their behaviors. You eventually can look at it and be like, okay, that's the exclamation point. There's only 1 in the deck. That's what it's going to do.
Right.
Instead of it being like a fat deck of like, who knows what it's going to do. Now, granted, I'm not sitting here like, I remember that red card. That red behavior deck with the 9 value at the bottom. I know exactly what that is. But you could. So you can accurately go in, fight the boss to make it better than kind of like... This was, I mean, Chapter 3, fighting this one was a struggle.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, shit.
I actually went down.
Yep, you went down, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I do enough damage. But it was right at the end where it's like, okay, I think I can. I had a lot of defensive cards. It's just, it's very, very, very clean. And my biggest negative on the game is I hate the insert.
Yeah.
The insert's just so bad, and it could have easily been fixed if they came with dividers, which they came with dividers for the helm, armor, items, and potions, but not for the monsters. Like, I wish the monsters had like a divider to separate them, so I could, like KDM does. Hey, Dung Beetle Knight, like where you find just specifically their cards.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They didn't do that here for whatever dumb reason.
They have like 4. Yeah, they have like 22 monsters off the gate.
Literally, this is. Like, there's 2 sleeves. This is just what it is. So, like, I just have to search through it and find all the icons that it's like, well, I hope I found them all, because they just shrink wrapped, like, two decks together. And, like, it's just weird. And, like, they like, why half-ass it with dividers for the items, which are easier to store than the actual bosses? I don't know. But that's my only negative. Like, I'd say they're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
You have any negatives on the game?
Well, how do I put it? I mean, if you're, coming into this game, it does the boss battling. And that's what you come for. Limited crafting. It's a good time. It's clean. It's super easy to approach. You're not bogged down with a shit ton of rules, and if that's what you're looking for,
Yeah, the prologue actually, I mean, the way the rule book is, which is a nice overall book, but I wish they would have just had a separate prologue. It basically, it's like the prologue, which then teaches you how to play. And then it's like, hey, now do your campaign. But what's weird is, like, it has its component list and, like, on page 40. Mm-hmm. So it's just weirdly organized. It's not a bad rule book. I've been able to quickly find everything that I need to. Kind of like Aeon Trespass Odyssey is a massive rule book, but I've always been able to find what I needed to, but I'm basically living in it. This is not that. We were able to learn the game and get started very quickly.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Well,
any negatives?
Any negatives? I am not. So I'm not sure how it would run as like a one-off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, coming back to the same monster I don't know. I mean, there's definitely the levels. We haven't gotten there yet. We've only fought 3.
Yeah.
So I'm worried that they might be a little like, oh, this guy again.
Gotcha.
But at the I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly.
I mean, because that's the same argument. It's like, well, I mean, you fight the same thing over and over.
Right, exactly.
Aeon Trespass, Kingdom Death, Oathsworn. It's just like,
but because they've stripped so much else off, that it's like, would it feel that much more samey?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have cleaned it up quite a bit. Super easy to approach, but just beware that you are kind of losing on those things.
Yeah.
You don't have like a big environment. You don't have a more a preliminary phase. You don't have a proper settlement that you're constructing. Just know that you're coming into this. You don't get all that to do.
Yeah.
So if you're aware of that, it's a great time.
Yeah, because it's like whenever you're fighting a higher level monster in KDM, it has or Aeon Trespass, it has new abilities, new like taunts or effects right out the get-go.
Right, and it can express its uniqueness in the larger board.
Yeah,
I guess my concern with this game is with the smaller board. Maybe the monsters will have difficulty expressing themselves more and really making their uniqueness known.
Yeah. Yeah, or is it surface level? Like, hey, this thing does lightning. That's it. This thing puts fire tokens out. This thing puts out these Arceum tokens. That's pretty much it.
And these are just concerns for like a lot of play.
Sure.
If you're playing a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think. Yeah. I mean, I am vastly more surprised at how much they are able to get done with literally just a 4-quadrant board.
Super clean. They did a really good job.
Yeah. This is also interesting because I feel like this game would actually shine more with more players.
Yeah, and you don't say that often.
I really don't. I'm like,
games.
Campaign game. I want one other person, maybe 2 at max.
Yeah, because they cleaned it up so much. This might actually be really fun with 4 guys.
Yeah, like just completely different play styles. I mean, because there are certain keywords and stuff that your characters do that is like for example, the Sword and Shield does a lot of taunt. Well, if I have the aggro, then I'm not pulling it from anyone else. Whereas there's 3 other people who can take this from me. It's like, oh, boom, now I can taunt him because you guys bundled up in one area, and he's about to do some massive attack. I can pull him my way.
Yeah.
Versus like, well, it's just you. Like, if you went, now it's my turn. I took this. My taunt doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
So I think it could be really cool. And like you said, it's so streamlined that just having actual 4 people is not going to really make the game that much longer.
Yeah, and because everything, and you get your own resources, which that's probably like one of my number 1 complaints with KDM when I'm playing with someone else is that I have all these resources that we're sharing. Of course, we both want to do stuff,
right?
But it's like we have this one plot. It's not like I've sectioned them out, which I guess you could play that way, but but you're really detrimenting yourself if you do that.
Yeah, you make it way too easy.
But this, everyone gets their own slice.
Yep.
To do what they want with, which is just great because anything to speed up the crafting portion of these games.
Yeah. I mean, especially because right now we have completely different monsters to fight, and even if we wanted to fight, like, Haram again, that would be because, oh, hey, I'm trying to get... It's like, I have the metal weapon, I want to get the level 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely agree. You don't share resources, so...
Yeah, so you don't have to keep... Maybe do this, maybe do this. No one really speaks up. And then, for whatever reason, your settlement phase takes 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, there's 4 of us. Well, one person isn't really doing a whole lot in these fights, so we got to level them up. I guess we'll fight this again. It's going to be a joke because 3 of us are super powerful. So how about we just don't fight it and just say we did and just get the fucking resources? Which again is something I think ATO cleaned up because they're constantly leveling up. It's not really up to the players on like, hey, what level should we do? It's like, no, you're fighting level 3 now. You should be able to fight this. Good luck. And that's exactly what this game's doing too. It's like, nope, you're on chapter 5, you're on aggression level 2. You're on chapter 8, aggression level 3. Whatever you're fighting, doesn't fucking matter if you fought it before. You haven't touched this. You haven't touched Toramat yet. Yep, he's level 3 now. But yeah, no, I am curious to see how it goes from here. Like, I agree. I think I want to fight like this guy again to be like, okay, it was pretty much the same except he had like 2 new cards. Or it's like, oh man, no, that did feel completely different. I don't know.
But I mean, yeah, the gameplay is very satisfying. You're thinking about it all the time. You know, like, okay, I'm looking at my hand, I'm thinking about my hand. You know, can I play it in this order? You know, using your cards to pay for other cards.
Yeah.
So
I love that hand management.
Yeah, the gameplay loop is definitely very solid.
And unlike other games where it's very liquid, like Oathsworn was like, hey, it's the player's turn. Okay, you do one thing, then I'm gonna go, and then I'm gonna go again, then Keith is gonna go, and then now we're gonna go back to you. In this game, I was worried that it was gonna be, well, it's my turn, and it's only my turn, and you're sitting there. But no, you're engaged in every other player's turn. When you're unlocking cards, it's just like, oh man, this allows me to actually make someone else's cards cheaper. You have a lot of cards in your hand that are just like, hey, reveal this, do this. Oh, you stunned it? Boom. Hey, reveal your hand because I know you have 3 red cards in your hand to reveal it. So you are involved in everyone's turn. And I like that. So as of right now, I'm really enjoying it. So it could completely tank. It could get samey. But
I don't see it tanking. I just see small things like might accumulate and reduce the experience, but I think they've definitely hammered down the gameplay loop.
I think by keeping it at 11 things, I think that prevents it from feeling like, oh, this guy again. You know, if this was, hey, you're doing 30, missions, it would be like, I don't want to fight this fucking thing again. But because you're doing 11. Pretty much 10 probably of your choice. You probably don't have the time you're not going to fight this thing, each aggression level. It's just not happening. In fact, we might never see this thing again through decisions to where it doesn't even pop up. Or, you play the campaign again and you're looking and you're like, huh, well, we fought that at aggression level 1 last time. Well, we're doing the new campaign. Let's wait on it and wait till it's aggression level 3 and go fight it. I think they nailed it and it's exactly what I expected it to be, and that's great. So, with that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving Primal the Awakening?
Oh man, me and my boss battlers, I always give them high numbers.
I mean, they're our favorite at this point.
They really are. We just be honest with it. We fucking love boss battlers.
It's not even campaign games, because I'm looking at campaign games that I love, like Frosthaven or Gloomhaven or any of those, and they're fantastic. But it's like boss battlers. They're just so much fun.
Ooh.
And the bosses are all good, unlike Madara, with the worst boss fights ever designed.
Well, it wasn't really boss battler.
No, Madara's definitely not.
Yeah, it's definitely a dungeon crawl big time. But
it has bosses though, and it's like these bosses fucking suck. These suck so hard. The rest of the game is good. These bosses suck.
I really like the game. I really like that it's clean. And it was $400, for 22 monsters.
22, yeah.
Again, no assembly.
No.
Oh man, I'm like...
This is probably the easiest massive campaign game to set up
Yeah.
and learn.
Yeah. No.
Like, I thought Oathsworn was streamlined. And I think this game is cleaner.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a solid 9.
9?
I'm very confident 9. I'd give it like a
Yes.
9.5.
Yeah.
But not just because of my trepidations. I'm gonna stay at like solid 9.
Yep.
Like definitely quality 9.
Yep.
No questions.
Yep, I 100% agree. I slightly agree with you on I feel like maybe the bosses aren't going to be as in depth, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm 100% with you. It's not a 10 because, like, the closest boss battler I can actually compare this to is Oathsworn. In terms of, like, streamline, clean, like pretty much here's a story element and here's the boss. I'm not bored with the story. I just don't kind of really care.
Yeah,
like,
and I think there's just like a loose construction of reasons to hunt different monsters.
Yeah, it's not cheeky or B-movie writing. The writing is serviceable. It's a serviceable story so far, but it's like, yes, you clearly watched a Cliff Notes version of Monster Hunter World and wrote from that. And it's like, okay, yes, fine. But yeah, if the world was a lot more intriguing and I cared, it's like, oh man. But like Oathsworn's world just does it for me. This one doesn't. So that's why it's not a 10. But I mean, yeah, no, solid 9.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is our thoughts on Primal: The Awakening. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. We might do a discussion 2.0 when we finish the campaign on our own time. Not even might, we probably will, just because then we can talk about if it got better or worse.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. Other than that, let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.